I've been making a mode in Overwatch Workshop called Overwatch Remix, and often I get people asking who does what and how it works, and though these people may be too lazy to look at the code or the settings that are only just a few clicks away, they will definitely be willing and wanting to watch this entire 30-minute video explaining it all, and liking, and subscribing to find out all the secrets. If you want to try out the mode yourself, the workshop code will be in the description. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Overwatch Remix sets the player count back into 6v6. I wanted there to be role queue, but it doesn't work like that if you have 6 players, so open queue it is, which is mostly balanced. As I was finishing up the code for this video, Overwatch released the perk update. Strangely enough, many of these perks are similar to passives and abilities I've had in my mode since 2023 or earlier. Perks are fun and have a lot of cool interactions in the mode, but for the sake of balance and to save some frustration, they are limited to Clash and Flashpoint. Ideally, I would give them a 20% chance to be in any match. Overwatch Remix has a toggleable third-person camera, which is also being made by Blizzard, but I beat them to the draw this time. That was made by Midisi, I think it's pronounced, and was heavily modified by me for the mode. I left a link to what I think is their YouTube in the description. To initialize the third-person camera, hold the interact button, which is L3 on a PlayStation controller, for at least 1 second to swap. This can be done in reverse too to go back into first person. The camera can be a little clunky sometimes, so first person is preferred, but I wanted to leave the option. While in third person, if you only press the interact button, you can swap between shoulders. For Ashe and Widowmaker who have a scope, even when you're in third person, scoping will set you back into first person until you stop scoping. This also works for ults that move your camera like Junkrat, Doomfist, and Bastion. Yet another and hopefully the final thing I will mention Overwatch adding before me, which was pretty recently, is an emote cancel. Fortunately for me, the Overwatch Remix version of the feature is better and more responsive. Pressing the crouch key will always end whatever emote you're doing right away. Not much more to say about this one, but it is very helpful when you're BMing and getting jumped.
I've still got it.
Now getting into the bread and butter of the video, the gameplay changes. For all heroes, unless it is a passive, self-regeneration has been disabled to promote the use of support heroes and for balancing. Adding on to this, almost all overhealth and shield values have been halved as well. For Reaper and Pharah's ultimate, with a few other abilities that are listed in the documentation and code, are now cancelable by pressing the ability button again. Heroes now have different speeds. Tanks and higher HP heroes are generally slower, while smaller heroes are faster. Their base speeds are not part of boosts, so faster heroes will become even faster under these effects. Genji and Tracer still remain the fastest heroes, moving at 7.5 meters per second.
Heroes also have different weights. A hero's weight affects their knockback resistance and fall speed. Zenyatta and Sigma are the latest heroes. This is impactful as part of our next mechanic. Fall damage has been added to Overwatch Remix. Once a hero falls at a certain speed, they will receive 20% of their maximum health as damage upon landing. This can be impacted by slowing your speed before you hit the ground, reducing the damage by applying damage reduction, or completely negating it when phased out. You can take fall damage quicker when dashing at the ground. Some abilities grant immunity to fall damage, including Doomfist's Seismic Slam, Winston's Leap, Wrecking Ball's Pile Driver, Mauga's Overrun, Sojourn's Power Slide, Baptiste's Exo Boots, Orisa's Fortify, and finally, Ramatra's Nemesis form. On a similar note, some abilities can't be used while in the air. Pharah's Jump Jet, Mauga's Overrun again, Soldier's Sprint, and Cassidy's Combat Roll, which can be activated at the last second to reduce fall damage. Dealing knockback to Widowmaker or Mercy during their first ability will knock them down. Ultimate Charge is simplified and expanded upon. Heroes can have between 5 different ultimate charge rates besides Tracer and Doomfist at extremely fast. These stay similar to their original values and make it easier to understand for new players. Ultimate charge can now also be lost. Being stunned will make you lose 1% of your ultimate per second. Being knocked down will make you lose 3% of your ult. And being asleep will make you lose 5% of your ult per second. A new status called Dazed has been added. A hero that is dazed has their HUD removed and their ability stop cooling down but can still be activated. Junkrat's Steel Trap now inflicts a wound similar to Junker Queen. And Widowmaker's Venom Mine now slows its victim's movement and aim speed significantly. Each hero's new passive and ability passive can be seen in-game while in the spawn room. Unfortunately, this is the worst code I've made and can't fix, so you have to go in and out if there are multiple people to see it. D.Va's new passive is Determined. D.Va is immune to losing ultimate charge from statuses. Her ability passive is Capable. Dealing knockback to airborne enemies will knock them down. Her special is that her remech and self-destruct both knock down hit enemies. D.Va remains very similar, just with slight nerfs all around to balance her for my mode. Doomfist's new passive is Crucible. Quick melee deals critical damage to enemies when all abilities are on cooldown. His ability passive is Onslaught. Dealing a final blow with Meteor Strike will reset its charge. His special is that all rocket punch damage dealt is doubled. Doomfist remains similar to his Overwatch counterpart, but instead of relying on his hand cannon, a lot more power is put into his melee capabilities. Hazard's passive is Biotic Absorption. Dealing a final blow will grant you overhealth. His ability passive is Cyberspeed. Reset the cooldown of Violent Leap after a full duration wall climb. His special is that he gains overhealth when he activates Downpour. Hazard has had a lot of his damage mitigation tools nerfed to rebalance for my mode, but I wanted to keep his speed and damage to keep the fun aspects of his kit. Junker Queen's passive is Outrage. Gain a speed increase after receiving knockback. Her ability passive is Perishong. Activating Commanding Shout interrupts all channeled abilities. Her special is that when using Commanding Shout, she will heal allies and damage enemies through walls. Junker Queen's healing and damage have both been reduced for the balance of my mode, but I wanted to keep her abilities on a shorter cooldown to keep the engaging parts of her kit. She's very fun. Mauga's passive is Cybernetic Hearts. Consume health to activate abilities on cooldown. His ability passive is Playful. Pin smaller heroes with Overrun. His special is that when he activates Cage Fight, he'll damage any enemy in its initial radius. Mauga's base stats have been buffed, but his abilities have been reduced to keep him balanced. Orissa's passive is Adept. Reduce all cooldowns by a second after earning an elimination. Her ability passive is Reflect. While Fortify is active, it reflects oncoming damage to nearby enemies. Like Mauga, Orissa's base stats are buffed, but her abilities are greatly reduced to keep her balanced. Ramatra's passive is Unyielding. Heal after an ally dies. His ability passive is Ravage. Become immune to damage and healing for 3 seconds upon activating Annihilation. His special is Nemesis Form primary attacks deal knockback to enemies. Ramatra's abilities are quickened, but their damage has been reduced. Reinhardt's passive is Honor. Reduce all knockback by an additional 25%. His ability passive is Glory. Pressing reload while charging or on the ground will activate a rocket jump. His special is Fire Strike ignites hit enemy heroes. I didn't have to change too much about Reinhardt for him to fit in 6v6. He's just as great as he was before. Roadhog's passive is Reckless. Gain a movement speed increase while healing. His ability passive is Retaliatory. Receiving critical damage reduces the cooldown for Chain Hook. His special is that Chain Hook deals more damage to enemy heroes. Roadhog is slower and has less healing to punish him for bad plays, but just as much damage as before. Sigma's passive is Anomaly. Sigma is immune to fall damage, has reduced gravity, and can toggle crouch in air to descend faster. His ability passive is Terminal Velocity. Accretion stuns enemy heroes based on their distance from you. His special is Kinetic Grasp, deals damage to very close enemies. Sigma's gameplay is fairly different due to the changes in his speed and gravity. His defensive abilities have been reduced in favor of his damage remaining. Winston's passive is Enrage. Gain ultimate charge when taking damage but passively lose it. His ability passive is Arc Lightning. Secondary fire deals lesser chain damage to close enemy heroes. His special is directly landing or jumping off an enemy hero with jump pack will knock them down. Winston's new passive changes his gameplay completely, and you need to focus on staying alive to gain your ultimate. Wrecking Ball's passive is Momentum. When rapidly moving, increase all cooldown speeds by 25%. His ability passive is Impact Dampeners. Receive no knockback well above maximum health and with adaptive shields active. His special is that Pile Driver can crit enemies when directly landing on top of them. Wrecking Ball's health has been reduced, but besides that, everything else about him has stayed the same or been buffed, because he's never really been a problem in my mode and he's very fun to play with and against. Zarya's passive is Strength. Knock back close enemies when activating a barrier. Her ability passive is Fierce. Damage close enemies when particle barrier has been destroyed. Her special is that Graviton Surge deals damage after impact. Due to a bug in Overwatch's code, Zarya's bubbles only have a quarter their health instead of half. This changes her gameplay to have low energy and parry-like mechanics, which makes her different than normal Overwatch, but balanced for my mode. Ashe's passive is Gang Leader. Assist in charging teammates' ultimates when at full ultimate charge. Her ability passive is Double Barrel. Coach Gun is used twice before going on cooldown. Her special is while burning, her movement speed is increased. Ashe is very similar to her Overwatch counterpart. Bastion's passive is Auto Repair. Regenerate health when not taking damage. His ability passive is Augmented. Reloading halves the current cooldown on Tactical Grenade. His special is that he explodes on death, dealing damage. Bastion is extremely tanky but a lot slower. Cassidy's passive is Bounty Hunter. Deal increasing damage to enemies with higher ultimate charge. His ability passive is Head Roll. Dealing a critical hit resets the cooldown for combat roll. His special is that Flashbang now stuns enemy heroes. Echo's passive is Adaptive. Cleanse most statuses after 1 second. Her ability passive is Intuitive. Duplicating a hero that is using their ultimate will set you their full ultimate charge. Her special is when duplicating an enemy hero with more than 250 hit points, she will add 50 shield to herself during the duplication. Genji's passive is Balance. Reduce damage taken while using abilities. His ability passive is Precise. Deal critical damage to enemies that can't see you with Swift Strike. Hanzo's passive is Perfectionist. Deal increased damage when at full health. His ability passive is Voracious Dragon. Storm arrows heal you on damage dealt to enemy heroes below half health. His special is that critical hits dealt with Sonic Arrow will stun the enemy hero. Junkrat's passive is Tinkerer. Each ability applies a different status when damaging enemies. His ability passive is Stockpile. Dealing a final blow adds a temporary ability charge to Concussion Mine. His special is dealing a final blow will grant him a brief and powerful movement speed increase. May's passive is Brittle. Frozen enemy heroes will receive double damage. Her ability passive is Icebreaker. Cryo Freeze ending after at least 1 second freezes close enemies. Her special is that secondary fire's critical multiplier is increased to ×3. Pharah's passive is Security. While decently airborne, reduce incoming damage. Her ability passive is Tactical. You can manually cancel Barrage early to retain part of the ultimate charge. Her special is that Concussion Rocket dazes enemies.
Was the sun in your eyes?
Reaper's passive is Cellular Regeneration. Heal when using abilities. His ability passive is Death Flourish. Death Blossom now deals long-range fall-off damage. His special is that his weight is reduced when in Wraith form. Sojourn's passive is Striker. Eliminations increase movement speed for a few seconds. Her ability passive is Calibrated. During Overclock, both cooldown durations are halved. Her special is that Power Slide damages enemies on contact.
Nice work, team. Keep it moving. Outfought.
Soldier's passive is Harden. Shake off knockdowns. His ability passive is Defiant. Helix rockets deal increased damage based on the target's maximum health. His special is that he constantly and slowly heals health.
That's a clean takedown. That warms the bones.
Tengo que irme.
Sambra's passive is Personable. Quick melee hacks enemy heroes. Sambra's ability passive is 1s and 0s. Hack has a short cooldown that will temporarily increase if interrupted. Her special is that Virus hacks enemy heroes when it hits them. Symmetra's passive is Refined. Regenerate ammo when not using your weapon. Her ability passive is Photon Shielding. Heal all allies with shield when casting Photon Barrier. Her special is that she gains permanent shield health when casting Photon Barrier. Torbjorn's passive is Coordinated. Jump at a large hero to mount them. His ability passive is Burning Slag. Dealing decent amount of damage to heroes with secondary fire will ignite them. His special is that dealing damage reduces the cooldown of Overload. Tracer's passive is Optimus. Briefly increase damage dealt after using abilities. Her ability passive is Repulse. Using Blink while reloading will instantly reset your ammo. Her special is that time slows down when Pulse Bomb is active. Pressing the ultimate button again will cancel the time slow early. Venture's passive is Prospector. Have a small chance for a critical attack on every hit. Venture's ability passive is Quake. Damaging an enemy hero on the ground with Tectonic Shock will stun them. Venture's special is they will deal contact damage with Burrow while airborne. Widowmaker's passive is Cold Blood. Heal over time after dealing a final blow. Her ability passive is Alive. Healing rate from kills is double during Infrasight. Widowmaker's special is that her Venomine is buffed, like we talked about earlier, but it also deals 50 extra damage over time during the duration of the poison. Ana's passive is Survivor. If the damage is not lethal, take reduced damage from critical hits. Her ability passive is Enabler. Biotic Grenade gives healing over time to allies with only base health. Her special is that healing an ally with Nano Boost will give them a speed buff for the duration of the ultimate. Baptiste passive is Exotech. Damage taken over 100 per instance will convert into overhealth. His ability passive is Misguided. Regeneration Burst can heal enemies, but heals allies even more. His special is healing an ally with the alternative fire of Biotic Launcher, and being in the radius of the AoE Splash Heal will heal you too. Brigida's passive is Courage. Receive double overhealth from all sources. Her ability passive is Engineer. Armored allies will receive bonus healing from a repair pack. Her special is that she can heal herself with repair packs by pressing the reload button. Alari's passive is Warrioress. Heal after earning an elimination. Her ability passive is Child of the Sun. Outburst deals triple damage and ignites enemies when you're above half health. Her special is that she heals over time during Captive Sun. Juno's passive is Resourceful. Collecting a health pack restores all health and ammo. Her ability passive is Tractor Beam. All heroes within the initial radius of Orbital Ray are pulled up. Allies receive lower gravity. Her special is Casting Hyper Ring will now launch a damaging projectile in the center of the ability. Kriko's passive is Path of the Blade. Critical hits reset ammo. Her ability passive is Path of the Fox. Healing allies with Healing Afuda will heal you over time. Her special is that Kunai can bounce to the closest hero after their initial hit. Lifeweaver's passive is Biosynthesis. When stationary, pulse healing to yourself and allies. Works while you're dead. Ability passive, Blooming Shield. Dealing decent healing reduces the cooldown of Life Grip. Lifeweaver's special is holding the Life Grip button without a target will cast it on yourself with a reduced cooldown. Lucio's passive is Influencer. Boosting allies and disrupting enemies creates overheal. His ability passive is Sonic Boom. Enemy heroes within half of the sound barrier radius will be stunned, damaged, and dazed. His special is that sound wave dazes enemies. Mercy's passive is Biotic Lifeline, constantly heal lost health. Her ability passive is Revive. Automatically resurrect yourself if you died with Resurrect charged. Her special is that casting Valkyrie will reset the cooldown of Resurrect. Moira's passive is Apex. Increase healing received when at full biotic energy. Her ability passive is Rejuvenate. Moving through allies during Fade will cleanse them of most debuffs. Her special is that she has reduced weight and speed during Fade. Last but not least, Zenyatta. His passive is Transcend, heal all allies after dying. His ability passive is Centered. When channeling secondary fire, counter enemy knockback. His special is that he heals while Harmony Orb is active. We reached the end. Sorry for the dollar store editing, that video took forever to code and edit. I had no script or outline, which I will fix next time. I've been really busy with school, work, and other life things, so sorry for the delay between uploads, but I'm going to try and keep it consistent, and I hope you all enjoyed. If you leave a comment, I'd appreciate it, and have a good rest of your day.